time, just a single second, so you see that indeed we'll be leaving you behind, far across that line. Turn it up so you can hear the bells crashing through the clouds as it rained down the drain. We know all too well it's a living hell. Careful what you say and who you say it, who you say it to. Careful what you say and who you say it to. Maybe you talk too much and you're asking for it. Asking. You can blame bad luck, but you're asking for it.
Hello and welcome to the Sports Talk Podcast. I am Brandon, the host of Sports Talk. You can follow us along on Twitter at Sports Talkcast1. Like I said again, that is on Twitter. You can follow us at Sports Talkcast1. Alright, it's been a little bit since I did a podcast. I've gotten way behind. I had some things going on. I wasn't able to do any of the podcasts, but we're back here tonight on a Friday night, and we're going to do our third podcast. So thank you all for taking the time to listen. The first couple podcasts, I was not expecting to have as many listeners as what I did, but we had quite a few listeners. Got quite a few reactions, gained some more followers on Twitter. I know that I've been on the subject of what we was going to talk about today, and I wasn't quite for sure if I was going to touch on it or not, but I'm going to go ahead, and in this 15 minutes, let's go ahead and touch on the Colin Kaepernick drama that's been going on here. Now, remember, Colin Kaepernick, just a few years ago, was playing in the Super Bowl and against the Baltimore Ravens whenever Jim Harbaugh was the coach, playing against his brother John. And then the next following year, he almost made it back to the Super Bowl. He went to the NFC Championship and he lost. So Colin Kaepernick, just not that long ago, was a pretty relevant quarterback in the NFL. Well, it seemed like defenses started to figure out Kaepernick. They figured out what he could do, what he couldn't do. And in the last couple of years, since his NFC Championship game, and also the 49ers with the coaching changes, the 49ers franchise has just been a wreck. Kaepernick has seemed to fallen off the face of the planet Earth till last week in a game against the Green Bay Packers. Colin Kaepernick, instead of standing up for the national anthem, he stayed seated, and it just erupted a firestorm. The media from Fox Sports to ESPN to CNN to MSNBC, everybody was talking about Colin not standing up for the national anthem. My reaction when I first seen that Kaepernick did not stand for the national anthem, pardon my French, but I got pissed off. And the reason I got mad, because, like I said, I'm currently still in the military. I've had family that served in the military. I have many friends in the military. And it just kind of offended me from that perspective, because I said, why does he think that he's too good to not stand up? At least stand up. You ain't got to put your hand over your heart, but at least have the decency to stand up for the Pledge of Allegiance, for the national anthem. And because, the national anthem to me represents the country in which I defend, and what at least thousands of other men and women in uniform, they defend this country, and I kind of took it as an insult. So I gotta admit, I was mad at him at first, and then he came out last week, it was actually just yesterday, and instead of sitting this time, say he took a kneel. He didn't sit, he took a knee. And but Kaepernick, let me see. The guy, I thought he was first just out to do it for attention. I believed he was out just doing it for attention. Like I said, the guy's on the borderline of being irrelevant now in the NFL. He probably won't even have the starting job for the Niners. It looks like Gabbert will be beating him out there. And that's a pretty sad day when Blaine Gabbert is beating you out for the starting quarterback position. So it's been this kind of a downward spiral for Kaepernick. And I don't really remember his first couple of years in the league of him ever doing anything controversial or anything. I mean, he kind of was out there. His ego was kind of big. You know, he always did the little pose showing off the gun show, if you guys remember that. But like I said, back then, he was a Super Bowl quarterback. He made it to 2 back-to-back NFC championships, which he did have a lot in part with that. And then, like I said, now here we are, 2016. Last week, against Green Bay, he sat down to the national anthem and faced the biggest media firestorm wherever you was on his side or against his side. And then in the game last night against San Diego, which they won, so they won 31-21. They beat San Diego, and Kaepernick didn't look that sharp. You granted he was playing against third and fourth stringers, guys who will probably be cut, but I think he did do just enough to keep his job. I believe they'll keep him on. I think he'll be a backup. I don't think he's going to start for the Niners. But anyhow, let's get into this story. Now, Colin Kaepernick said that he was doing this because some people jumped on him right away and said, you know, it was disrespectful. Like I said, I was one of them. I was mad at him for what he did. And like I said, he held a press conference, though, yesterday after the game. And he really, actually, I still do not agree with exactly what he's doing. But I told a friend of mine, I said, I think he's doing it just to get the attention. I said, I really do. We had different opinions on the situation. And I said, I believe he's doing it just to get the attention because he knows that he's bound to be cut. And if he does something like this, then they probably won't cut him. They have to keep him. Because if they cut him, then the 49ers will get backlash saying, oh, you cut him because he was standing up for something he believed in. You know, maybe throw the race card to the 49ers organization. This would have been a big mess. But like I said, hopefully Colin don't get cut. And hopefully they keep him on. I think he showed enough in the last preseason game that they will keep him on. But what he got to me, Colin Kaepernick took the time to meet up with the former Green Beret, who also was a long snapper. And his name was Nate Boyer. And he discussed ways to protest with Boyer. And Boyer was the one that mentioned to him about not being more, it would be more respectful if he was to come out and kneel down instead of just sitting on his rump. So I give him kudos for that he took the time. And I mean, he seems to me like he's really trying not to be disrespectful to the military. He said numerous times that he is not trying to be disrespectful to the military. It has nothing to do with the military. He knows people who serves. He has family that served. That was nothing against the military. It's just about trying to bring awareness to what's going on with the people of his race. Talking about the violence with the police and talking about the murders and just trying to raise awareness. He said he wasn't proud to be an American right now. And which that is his right to say that. I mean, that's his right. I may not like what he says. You may not like what he says. But that's his right to say that he's not happy with this country right now. And I'm not going to lie, honestly, say there's times I'm not happy with this country. But I still believe that the United States is the greatest country in the world. And I will still defend this country. And I will not be afraid to stand up for this country. But like I said, Colin also has the ability to say that he's not happy with the country and do what he wants to do. That's what makes this country the greatest country in the whole entire planet, is because freedom of speech, freedom to protest. And that's what Colin was doing, was protesting whenever he sat down during the national anthem. And so let's get back into this. Nate Boyer, like I said, he was a former long snapper in the NFL. He was a Green Beret. Like I said, Colin got in contact with him, and he talked to him, and they wanted to make sure, Colin wanted to tell him he wasn't, nothing of this was to shot at the military, none of it whatsoever. That, like I said, you can go, I'm reading the story that came from foxsports.com. It was written by Mr. Rob Perez. You can follow him on Twitter at worldwide_wob. You can follow old Rob Perez, and he wrote this article, and this is where I'm kind of stealing some of my notes. So like I said, Colin, he didn't sit, he knelt on the national anthem. And the thing that I said, if Colin really wanted to make a difference, I said, he makes $19 million a year. I said, you can't come out here and do this And I said, not give back to the communities that are hurting so much. He made me eat my words last night, as Colin said that he will make the first $100 million, or $1 million, $1 million that he makes this season, that he will give it to community organizations to help out his fellow people. Which, like I said, made me eat my words. Because as long as he goes through with this, then it makes what Colin did even a little bit easier for me to deal with. But here's the thing, though. Colin Kaepernick, he showed up to a press conference wearing a Fidel Castro shirt. People are going to eat you up for that, man. You can't do that. I mean, that's something teenagers are going to do. They're going to think it's cool. They're going to think it's hip. They're not really going to know anything about really what Castro was about. They're not going to know that he was a dictator. They're just not, no. So you need to grow up. I believe he's 27 years old. You cannot be doing childish things like that if you want people to take you serious. Like the pig socks that he had on at practice with the cop hats on them. Very, very distasteful. I support, let me say again, I support the men and women of the law enforcement 100%. There is bad cops out there. There is. I will say that there's bad cops. But there's bad people in every profession. That's what people don't understand. There's bad people in every profession. There's going to be bad cops. There's bad people in the military. There's bad people. There's bad nurses at hospitals. There's bad doctors that skip by and make it to and get a job. There's just how the world works. You're always going to have rotten eggs. And there is rotten eggs in the police force, but I still support them 100% because their job is hard. They got to worry about they're going to make it home to their families at the end of the day. So, but back to Cap, you got to quit being immature, man. People will start taking you more serious if you quit doing this childish stuff. Ditch the Castro shirt. The afro, I'm not understanding the afro neither, man. You've never wore your hair like that. And then last night, going onto the field, Colin's got an afro. Yes, you're black. I get it. You're proud of your heritage. But, man, just tone it down a little bit. Tone it down. You are doing something good for your people. I get it. I agree that black people in this country for many, many years have been segregated against. They have been bullied. I mean, I believe that as a white male, I've seen it and I believe it, that they've had a rough time. Nobody could say they have not had a rough time. And they do deserve more respect. They deserve more attention for what they go through. They deserve to stand up and be recognized. They should be equal to us. And sometimes I feel like that's definitely not true. But like I said, it's coming from a white male's perspective. But back to Colin, like I said, this grew up a little bit, man. I think more people would take your situation serious. People would quit hating on you more. I hope you go through with this $1 million pledge that you said you're going to give the communities. I really hope that you really can make a difference. I don't like when people compare him to Muhammad Ali. I love Muhammad Ali. I love what Muhammad Ali stood for. I love the character of Muhammad Ali. And I've seen people compare Mr. Kaepernick here to Muhammad Ali. He's not there yet. He's not on Ali's level. It's kind of different, and to me, it's people kind of say it's the same situation, but it's a different situation because I think Mr. Muhammad Ali went about it in a very tasteful manner. Yes, he was a loudmouth and he knew how to speak, and Ali got a lot of attention, but I think, like I said, everything that Muhammad Ali did was very respectful and tasteful, and I don't think that Colin Kaepernick has been tasteful about this whole thing. You can't be saying that you're really not against all cops, that you don't think all cops are bad. He said that before, but then come out and wear the pig socks. You can't really do that. But like I said, Cap, we're going to close it out here by saying, like I said, I'm not going to hate on him that much anymore. I just think you can do a great thing for the black race. You really can. It's the sports figures to stand up like Dwayne Wade and LeBron James and Chris Paul did. You can help bring awareness. You really can. You're in a position to. Even if you end up being on the bench all year, you have the chance to stand up and help out your people. This, please, one thing, Mr. Kaepernick, keep it tasteful. And that's all I got to say about that. So like I said, not going to hate on Colin too much. Hopefully he tones it down a little bit, but he still gets his point across. Thank you guys all for listening. Remember to follow us on Twitter. I am out of here.
When all is said and done, you need to tie your tongue. 'Cause when you spit on